Dear friends, the question here is which is the most effective way of breaking down a hard cataract's amorphous core? Though we have different techniques like the stop and chop, the direct phaco chop as well as the horizontal chop, all of these techniques are equally effective in the hands of a skilled surgeon. However, in certain situations, specific chop techniques probably are more appropriate due to the lens morphology. In a grade 4 nuclear cataract, since the lens loses its crystalline nature and becomes amorphous, a horizontal chop using compressive force is probably more effective than the vertical chop that uses shear force. This was first described by Dr. David Chan. This is a hypermature Mogaglian cataract with a pretty hard grade 4 nuclear sclerosis. I am attempting a direct phaco chop using a 1.75 mm sharp tip chopper, which is my technique of choice in handling all types of cataracts. I need to bury the phaco tip quite deep within the nucleus, and a considerable amount of energy is needed in order to initiate the crack in this particular nucleus. You also find that this crack remains put in the region where I initiate the crack. There is no propagation of the crack, which is indicative of the loss of the crystalline nature of the nucleus. In fact, in this particular segment, you can find that while I initiate the crack and as soon as I let go, the piece simply snaps back into position. This is quite indicative of the fact that there is no crack propagation. This is because the nucleus has lost its crystalline nature and has become amorphous. So I decided to try to attempt a horizontal chop and see if it is any easy. I have not performed the horizontal chop in more than 2 decades. Ever since I became comfortable using the direct phaco chop maneuver, I use a ball tip dialer. I go to the periphery and I find that I have to use considerably less amount of force in order to crack this nucleus. When you go to the periphery of the nucleus or the equator of the nucleus and move it against the buried phaco tip, the force used is the compressive force and the amount of force required is considerably less. So the carry home message is that in case you have a dense amorphous core, then the most appropriate and probably the most effective way of disassembling this nucleus is to employ a horizontal chop maneuver that uses compressive force rather than a direct chop that uses shear force. I thank you for watching.